Our goal is to help agents any way possible. Number one, get business, right? And this is one of the really, this is the one that this is the session that I like the most because this is the payoff for all that hard work that Ronnie was talking about, how you have to win the seller, right? Eric's talking about mindset and organizing your day so that you're ready to talk to sellers. And Sean Annan had an awesome session on pricing, which is so important. And this all overlaps. Today's session is about actually getting the listing sold, right? Because as it says on the as it says on the instructions manual, is 4 sold signs don't pay the bills. Sold signs pay the bills. So that's a Gary Kellerism. So we'll be going over today techniques, advantages of staging properties to get them sold, right? So you need to properly market, stage your property so that you can have a mega open house. You can have a blowout weekend where you're going to have a line out the door of people waiting at your open house because you've drummed it up. We'll go over that. We're going to have a couple of videos today, which are one's from John Bath. He's excellent. And the other one is from a guy out in Oregon who's just a mega agent. And those will, we're going to go over a lot of the stuff that they're going to go over as well. So today, what we're going to do is go over the selling of your listing, right? Stage, market, and communicate like a mega agent. You want to be recognized. Ronnie had mentioned this. You don't want to be recognized as an agent who has signs all over town. You want to be the guy who has signs all over town that say sold. Right? You don't want to have a sign on somebody's lawn for 6 months and it expires. Granted, in this market that we're in right now, homes are selling pretty fast. But in no way does that diminish the importance of staging, communicating with your sellers, and having a mega open house, because that mega open house is the good stuff, right? Eric had mentioned it, Ronnie had mentioned it, the 3 L's. Right? Leads, listing, and leverage. This is the leverage. Having the listing is by far the carrot, right? That's the thing you really want to achieve because it's going to give you the ability to set your business up for the next week, the next month, the next year, really for your career. Each open house that you have and each listing that you get is an opportunity to get 2 more deals, or at least 1 more listing, or at least pick up multiple buyer leads. Because remember, when someone comes to your open house, that house may not work for them. But if you do your job and you're prepared, you may have a couple of backup jobs. Say, oh, I'm sorry, you were looking for a 4-bed? Well, there are a couple of 4-bedroom homes in this neighborhood too that are for sale. And you can utilize your knowledge to help the people that are coming to your open house and the people that are in the neighborhood. And we're going to go over all that as we go through the session. How did everybody can put it into the chat box? Let me know how you're doing on your 10-4, right? Does everybody remember what that is? That's 10 contacts added to your database, 10 connections, 10 personal notes, 4 personal notes, and 4 homes that you've previewed. These are all activities that are going to help you further the beginning of your career here and your career in general. I know Fred, Fred's been in the business for a long time and he's still educating himself. He's still listening. He's still learning. And he's a great contributor because he has this amazing wealth of knowledge. So I will call on you for sure to help me, right? So so put it into the chat box. I'm going to do mine right now. Put it in. I know what I was able to do. So put it in there so we can all be accountable to each other and we understand that, that's the whole purpose of this, is to work the business, right? Part of what we're going to do today is make phone calls. Part of what we're going to do today is go over different scenarios that come up, objections that come up. That come up from, from the class. So, and we'll do a little bit of that. I'm the only one who did any cards. Anybody else? Nobody else wrote a personal card like one of these? Oh, there we go. Brittany did. A simple thank you from the bottom of my heart, or it's blank on the inside. Just send it out. I sent the cards that I sent out two were from the previews that I did. I thanked them for giving me an opportunity to come into their home. You should, we want you to write these out every day. There's going to be people, if you get on the phone or get yourself out there, it could be somebody you meet in the grocery store, really. Send them a thank you for taking the time to talk or have a real estate conversation with you. You might not even be the one who brought up real estate, but there's no reason why you shouldn't thank them for that conversation. Keep you top of mind, tip of tongue. They know who you are and what you do. Thanking people is a great way to do it. Okay, Fiona, awesome. You got 10 cards ready, but you didn't sign them. You didn't send them yet. All right. Are you going to drop those off, or you're going to mail them?
I'm going to mail them. It's not like personal thank you cards. I'm going to start sending to everyone in Bloomingdale. So, yeah.
Right. That's awesome. That's awesome. Great. And, when we're in class together, we collect these sheets, we write down what we've done, we collect them. So it allows the person who's doing the instruction to have a little bit of background as to what you're doing. But it's a good thing just to talk about it, even if we're not in class together. So, so we're gonna do that. After I just go over what we're gonna cover today, we're gonna take about 10 minutes. We're gonna make a couple of phone calls. You can either make phone calls, or if you want to write some letters. I have a couple of more cards that I need to send out for some people that I spoke to. I'm probably gonna do that with my 10 minutes. We'll start that at about, it's just almost 12:38 now. So we'll probably start that at around 12:50. We'll go from 12:50 to right around 1 o'clock, and we'll take that 10 minutes to write cards and make phone calls. All right. So the 3 L's, right? You got to work hard to procure your leads. You got to work even harder to get the listing. Then you have the leverage. The leverage is the listing itself. That's what's going to create opportunities for you, right? And so when you're at that point, I know we've shown this before, it's the funnel of everything coming through, right? So you have your leads, you get an appointment, it turns into, and it turns into an agreement eventually when you get the listing document signed. So here you are, you've done all this work, and now you're here, right? So now what you have to do is squeeze every ounce of energy that you have and put it into this property that you're going to list, right? And that starts off by making sure that once you have all the correct listing documents, that they're loaded, and then you're going to want to be proactive when you communicate to sellers about what's the best way for the house to show when it comes time for the open house, and then the showings after that. Because, showings are not, yes, people do make an appointment, but they're random. They could happen at any point in time, right? Or an agent can call up and say, oh, I want to see it tomorrow. So you want to coach your sellers as to the importance of keeping the house clean, keeping the house decluttered, making sure that it's always ready for an appointment. The seller could be at work and a call comes in at 2 o'clock. They want to bring them at 3, and you're not going to be home for a couple hours. So it's important that you communicate that with your sellers. And all along the way, we're going to talk about how you have to communicate with the sellers, because in the end, what you really want is a wow experience. You want that seller to say, hey, when Caitlin got the listing, she let me know when the sign was coming up. She let me know when the photos were being taken. She communicated with me on what's the best way to get the house sold. Everything from staging, marketing, accepting offers, all the way through the transaction. That communication is going to be the biggest asset you have by far, because just knowing that the agent is communicating with the seller makes the seller feel a little bit more at ease. When they don't hear from you for a couple of days, they're like, "Ooh, what happened?" Right? So even if nothing happens, you could call them and say, "Oh, by the way, Mr. Seller, didn't get any appointments today, but we had a bunch of phone calls, and I'll talk to you tomorrow," or every other day. You'd want to stay in contact with them, even if nothing happens, right? So when you're involved in that relationship, it's important that you keep that as top of mind in your head, because you know how important it is to feel that communication, right? And when you don't get it, you feel a little bit like, hey, maybe something happened and I don't know about it. And people are going to want to know what goes on. So even if nothing goes on, it's better to call them and tell them, hey, not much went on, but we look forward to tomorrow, and you staying in touch with them. So the big things are stage, market, and communicate with your sellers. You want to be recognized as an agent who gets homes sold, right? And that goes back to pricing and some of the things that Sean was talking about. And you want to earn customers for life. Ron, I also was talking about this, that he has people who bought a home, sold a home 7 years ago, and just went out and bought a bigger home, sold a bigger home. He's doing that because he communicates with them on a regular basis. He's staying in touch with them because he doesn't want to be that 13% that maybe gets a phone call from a seller. We were talking about this before, that out of all sellers, 70% would be willing to work with the same agent again, but only 13% actually do. And that's on the agent for lacking in communication and contact with that person. Well, a lot of times, the deal's done, you walk away and that's it. Well, that's not going to perpetuate your business, and that's not going to keep you long run in terms of being able to count on people that hey, when I'm going to look for a house again, I'm going to call Joe, or I'm going to call Ron, because I know he stays in touch with me, and I know he's got his finger on the market because he's always talking about it. He's always in it. He's doing it. So you want to be that guy for that customer. You want to be that person who has the resource and the information and can provide value. And that's why they'll come back to you. The statistics show they're more than willing to, but it's sad that only 13% actually do, because only 13% of the realtors stay in contact. So that's on us. That's on us as realtors. And creating that, we're going to see a video later on about creating that wow experience, and it'll go into that a little bit more, because that's really important. The communication to the sellers is super, super, super important. So when we do get a listing, this is what we're going to do. We're going to prepare for making phone calls, making contacts to the neighborhood, right? Kind of before COVID, it was, in our offices, mandatory, basically. You wanted to at least go out and door knock a two block radius, minimum of a 2-block radius. And you want to just knock on the door. I mean, pre-COVID, it's, "Hi, how you doing? I'm Joe Landon with Keller Williams Real Estate. I just listed 138 Beverly Hill Road down the street." Yeah, right here, right down the street from you. "Hey, I want to let you know we're having an open house this weekend. Wanted to invite you by and let you know the house is going on the market. It's only 3 beds, 1 bath. It's at a great price at $350. And that conversation, 9 out of 10 times, they're like, "Oh, okay, great." You're really coming from contribution. You're not asking them for anything. But what you are doing is you're going to invite them to the open house. You're going to ask them if they have any questions about real estate, and you're going to see where the conversation turns. And you're going to know that you need to pay attention, to listen, obviously. They're the most important person in the conversation, and you're there to learn and to express your desire to have them come to the open house. And people come. In fact, the script that we're going to go over later on for the open house is, oh, hi, thank you for coming to our open house. Are you one of the neighbors, or are you interested? Are you out shopping for a home today? That's how you greet someone at your open house. Oh, thanks for coming to our open house. Are you a neighbor, or are you shopping for a home today? So those type of conversations are going to be, they're pretty easy, because you're not really, it's not a cold call. It's a simple knock on the door. Now, when things get back to normal, I'm sure that'll become standard again. Now, it's a little bit more about making the phone calls. So I think most people here, and if not, they probably have their own resources. We have a resource called Cole Realty Resource, where we can look up all the names and addresses of everyone in that neighborhood. So let's just say we want to draw a mile radius around the house. We can do that, and we can get the information, mail it out, knock on the door, call if we have the provided phone numbers, right? And drum up and build the momentum, right? You got the for sale sign up there, and then on the top banner, it's going to say coming soon, and build it. Build it, build it, build it. Take that week to 10 days to call as many neighbors as possible, call as many people in that town as possible, and tell them about your open house. So we're going to stop right now. We're going to take 10 minutes. I have a couple notes that I need to write. We want to go back to our opportunity to lead generate. It's important in every Ignite session that we take anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, and we do some lead generation. I have some notes that I have to, some thank you cards. I don't know if everybody saw these when I had them out. It could be a thank you from the bottom of my heart. Could be just a picture of some doors. We have a whole bunch of different ones. I just put that in a nice little thing, and nothing too complicated. It's blank on the inside. I'm just going to say thank you for the conversation, or thank you for letting me walk through your home. Thanks for even talking to me. Thanks for even picking up the phone sometimes is a good card, because they go, oh yeah, I remember you. You're the real estate agent who sent me the thank you card. Yeah, I did. You got my card? Great. I'm really glad that you got my card. And then follow the script, whatever script you're on. And this whole session is all about those calls. Just listed, just sold, open house. Those are all really easy phone calls, because they're not very intrusive. You're not really prying into anybody's life. You're providing information to them, right? So let's take 10 minutes. And if anybody's got any questions, obviously put something into the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to put myself on mute. I have one phone call and 3 cards right? And we're going to come back we'll call it 1 o'clock. So we'll take 12 minutes altogether. All right. So make a couple calls. I'm going to write a couple cards. Hey, anybody that just jumped on, we're in the process of making our phone calls and writing our notes. So if you have any calls or phone calls, or cards that you need to send out, please, let's do it now. We're gonna get back at 1 o'clock. All right, it's just 1 o'clock. I know that normally we might take a little bit longer time for the for that, but we're gonna stop again and do another session of calls. So I figured we'd split it up 10 minutes here and then 10 minutes a little bit later on in the program. Again, today's expectations for this class are clear. We want to discover the techniques for and advantages of staging a listing to get it sold. We're going to review the elements of the Keller Williams 14-point marketing plan as your action plan. And we're going to learn some of the essentials of the great service to sellers, from the moment they sign the listing agreement all the way through the closing and beyond. And that great experience is what's going to get your referrals. Maybe not even from that person, but their next door neighbor who says, "Oh, I'm thinking about getting my homes." You know what? You gotta call Brittany. She did such a phenomenal job. She was there for me. She answered all my questions and, communicated with me all the way through the line, right? That's the referral, You ever get an email from Ron Iosa or any of those guys, referral is the highest compliment you can give me, right? And it really is. And nothing feels better than somebody saying, "Oh, I know you sold Mr. Smith's home last year. He was really happy with you. Can you come by and take a look at my home?" That's gold, right? That's leverage. So those are the expectations. We're gonna go over the advantages of staging, the marketing plan, and then also the all-important communicating with the sellers, keeping them in your loop. You're in their loop, they're in your loop, and there's a security there where everybody feels like they're being communicated with and being, you're all on the same page. Obviously, that's the most important thing. So your service to the sellers begins the moment they sign the listing contract, right? And you're now their advocate. You're their agent and you're their fiduciary. Does anybody either chime in or put it in the chat room? Does anybody know what that means? You're their fiduciary. It's important.
You have to work in your client's best interest.
Yeah. It's a person who is legally or ethically entrusted to manage money or property between two or more parties. And that is all about trust. It is all about doing the right thing for them. And it does sound like, get them the most amount of money is part of it, right? I mean, that's part of it because that's part of what they want, right? And that's actually really all they want. They want the most amount of money for their home. So that's part of your fiduciary as the person who's going to be entrusted to manage this transaction. So marketing their home, servicing and marketing their home in the most effective way is the fiduciary, right? And the three main components are stage the property, market the listing, and communicate with the sellers. All right. And look, when you stage your property, right? Think about buying a car, right? If you look online and you see a car that's bright and shiny and it's new, it's got beautiful tires and it's beautiful, and then you see one that's rusty and dirty with bald tires, of course, your first thing you think is, what's the price? When you see the condition isn't perfect, the first thing you do is go, okay, what's the price? It's got to be low because it looks so bad, right? That's a normal thing. It happens with homes too. That's why aspects like curb appeal and staging are so important, because that impression that the house is making is indelible. It's important, right? It's something that's going to be a part of someone making a decision. So what we want to do as agents is, in the best way that we can, is get ahead of that and make sure that, look, if there's a little bit of a sacrifice that you need to make to do a little bit of painting or throw some things out, if there are little things that you can do, most sellers would agree. They would rather address the issues that are going to be brought up before you get to the point of putting the home on the market, right? So if you see a stain on the ceiling, it's a good thing to clean it up and get it painted, right? It's worth that additional money. Now, not everything is going to apply. You might walk in and they have this horrible kitchen. They might not have $20,000 for a brand new kitchen. So you might not be able to do anything about that. But certainly sellers are not immune to knowing the same thing that you know, which is if it comes down to price and condition, are you going to be willing to sacrifice a little bit of the condition if the price is right? Right? Like that car that's a little bit beat up, you're expecting a good deal, right? When you see a car that you don't see, or you see a house that doesn't have too many blemishes, your expectations aren't to necessarily go in and beat somebody up, or, and as the seller, your expectation should be, I've done most of the things that you'd be looking for in terms of negatives. I've addressed them already. So that what are we talking about now? Now we're talking about negotiating a much shorter list of items, right? By being ahead of that curve. So that's important. So look, most people know, but not everybody does it, that it's important to keep a home clean, bright, free of clutter, well maintained in the environment, whether it's air conditioning in the summer or heat in the winter. But sometimes taking a little extra step to stage a home can really make the difference in a buyer who values it. And if the price is commensurate to that, you're going to have less resistance and less bargaining because they're happy with the way that it looks from the beginning. And look, you need to be able to have someone walk into the house and they have to envision themselves living there. They have to see their couch in that corner. Or they have to see their TV up on that wall, because that's how people think. I mean, if you've been out on appointments with people, one of the first things they say is, oh man, are we going to be able to fit our bed in here? We have a king size bed. I don't know if we can fit it in here. And it happens. It's one of the things that really resonates with people is, what I have, is it going to fit this house? And that's just the way people look at it. They look at their stuff and they say, oh, how can I put myself in this house? And to give buyers the greatest opportunity to do that, we have to make sure that there is a clear path to walk through, that there is no clutter in the walking spaces, no clutter on the counters. I was reading something, I forget, it might have been Jeff Glover, and he said that the 6 most important words in staging a home are no clutter, and no clutter. And if you know who Jeff Glover is, he's a massive agent. And he has Glover University. He's a Keller Williams coach. And that's like his thing, is like, man, if you could just declutter it, that might be half the battle. Because people don't realize when they're living in their home that to them, they think are like wonderful trinkets, and to everyone else, it's clutter. So you have to, obviously, that's not something you're going to do harshly. You're going to do it softly, and you're going to do it because you're helping them understand that it's the buyer's perspective when they first walk in that counts the most. So yes, you've lived here for the last 30 years, and I'm glad that you love your house. And yeah, you do. You got great walk-in closets. But what we really have to make sure is that when people come in, they have a place to walk, that there's a flow that you can take when people are coming in. I mean, those things are important to present, and it's basically is presenting the best face for that one home. And look, if you're going into an $850,000 house in Pompton Plains, you can be pretty sure it's going to be pretty nice. It's not going to need a lot of staging, right? It's not going to need maybe any. Maybe it needs a little decluttering, but if you have a house that speaks for itself, that's one thing. But everybody else has to make sure that they give their best face forward when they're presenting it to the public. So you want to maximize the space of the home. And maybe that means taking one of the armchair out to the garage and get it out of the room for a little while. Or maybe it means moving something or doing a little reorganizing where you can say, well, look, if we can do this, we can create a better flow. These are all important factors. Because we want the buyer to envision themselves, their furniture, their cat, their dog, their kids. Don't forget that. They want to envision, oh, how's Mikey going to sleep in this room? Or how's the dog going to be in this yard? It's all stuff that they think about. They really do. They really think about it. So And look, the whole point of allowing buyers to envision themselves in the home is a great dialogue to have with the seller. And it makes the staging conversations, when you get to those conversations, it's going to make it a little bit easier because you're centrically focused on what's the best way to present this home. And the seller's got to get on board with that because what? They want the most amount of money. And how do we do it? By presenting the best product and having as many people look at it as possible, right? It's a known fact. If you have 3 people walk through an open house, you're in trouble. You get 30 people to walk through your open house on a Saturday or a Sunday, you're going to have offers and they're going to be solid. You're going to have it. If the traction is there, you're going to get the business. So whether it's decluttering, cleaning, or also outside, simple things like some simple cleanup outside or simple landscaping. Maybe sometimes it's just a pot on the front step that's got a nice looking flower on it. Something to take away from maybe some things that aren't perfect and have something appealing there. These are all tiny, little things that you can go over with your seller when you're explaining to them about, that conversation is, hey, we're a team here. We're working together to put the best face forward. And that, look, a little cleaning, a little weeding, a little cleanup, and a little declutter is going to go a long way, right? And there's no one who's not going to understand that. It's common sense, right? People will ask, well, will staging bring higher offers? Yes, it's proven fact. A house that's empty is harder to envision, and a house that has some staging in it is much easier to envision. And that's what it's all about, right? We need the buyer to envision themselves in the home. The National Association of Realtors has statistics on all this stuff. When buyers walk into a house that hasn't been staged, the percentage of times they put in an offer, and then when it is staged, I believe it's a 16% increase just in whether or not they'll even consider making an offer on a staged property opposed to a non-staged property. They even have statistics on what's the most important room. This is probably an easy one. So anybody put it into the chat box or take yourself off mute. What do you think is the single most important room in the house for staging? Anybody?
The entrance.
The entrance?
Kitchen.
Not
Kitchen,
quite.
the entrance.
Kitchen.
Not quite the entrance. It's
I would
one
say the kitchen.
specific room. Fred?
Kitchen.
Well, kitchen's number 2. Yes, the living room. And the reason why staging is so important in the living room is because, like the kitchen, which is number 2, okay, like the kitchen, where does every party you've ever had in your house, where's everybody? Where are they? They're either in your kitchen, bundled up, 20 people in a kitchen the size of this is a 12 by 15 bedroom. There's 30 people in a 12 by 15 kitchen if that's where the action is. The second place that everybody congregates, the kitchen, right? Or the living room. Those are 2, 1 and 2. But they say for staging purposes, because you can't really stage a kitchen, right? It's a very important room, and it might even be, to Fred's point, the most important room. But as far as staging is concerned, it's that living room. And to Suray's point, normally when you walk into a house, you come in through a vestibule, and then what do you got? Right there. It's the living room. And that is the centerpiece to the staging philosophy. Because if you don't need a bed in a bedroom for somebody to go, oh, it's a 12 by 15 room. I'm going to put a bed in it. Unless there's a matter of a bed fitting in it, it's just a bedroom. It doesn't really even matter. Now, I do stage bedrooms, usually just one though, right? Not all the bedrooms. So if it's a 3-bedroom house, I'll stage one. And I'll definitely stage the living room. And that's about it. The dining room, everybody's got their own dining room table thing. Some people are totally anti-formal dining room. Some people are all about it. So you can kind of let that one go. But the living room, just a rug, a couch, a chair, and a table will make an incredible difference. Eric Melnikoff is like amazing at this. And I know when Ronnie was talking, he said that his wife, Lori, does that for people. Like she has that eye, she has that gift. Eric Melnikoff has that. He has this amazing thing. Like he can put a color and a rug and a couch and a table, and you'd think it came out one of those, $1 million home magazines. So some people have it, like Eric and Lori Iosa, and then some people don't have it, like me and Ronnie. I like to sit in the nice furniture. I have no idea how to organize it or make it look right. So having someone like that in your life is paramount. I have my wife. She has really good taste and she knows how to put things together. So if you have someone like that in your life, utilize that and or lean on Ron or lean on me and, get someone to help you. Because that's paramount. Get that living room right is paramount. And when the National Association, now look, this is back in 2016, this statistic, but they say staging a home in essence should be about an extra $775. I think that might be a little low. I think it probably costs closer to $1,000 or maybe, give or take how much you need to get in there. But I think it's fair that you will have to pay for it, right? And there is an expense involved in it. Sometimes, and I'll give you Eric Melikov as an example. Eric has 3 different living room sets, 4 or 5 different beds, a bunch of different couches, a bunch of different tables, and he has these 3 setups. And then he figures out, okay, what's going to be the best one to fit in this house? What's the best one for this house? Like I said, you need that ability, which I don't have, but you do need that ability to put it together. So lean on another resource if necessary. If it's not something that you have within yourself or you need to, you don't have the furniture, obviously there's some furniture. There are companies that do it too. There are quite a few that do it just for realtors. It's mostly short-term stuff. And, you can also virtually stage, which is okay for the photos, but it doesn't really help you when the buyer walks through the front door and sees space and hardwood floors. And that's all great, but it really helps when you have it staged. So it's something important that they'll go over with. So that, and then the gardening and landscaping outside is important. That's like right there, because if it's really ratty outside, I mean, even something simple as raking out the leaves from the bushes, just creating a cleanliness is going to help. So any little things like that. So, and obviously when you're doing your listing consultation, you are going to mention staging if you're in a home that you think is going to need it, right? You're going to mention that because it's something you're going to want to bring up later on. And some agents have a supply of staging equipment where they can offer it as part of their services, right? Oh, okay, well, I'm going to stage it for you at no cost, or you'll have to cover the transportation costs, or they'll pay for it all together. It kind of depends on the customer and how that conversation goes. But it's definitely something that you're going to want to mention when you walk into a house and you go, wow, that's a really old couch. That's a really disgusting rug. And that's a terrible table. Those 3 things right there make the difference. And that could be pretty nominal, right? It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can just be that living room. So you want to take that into consideration. And then when you're talking to your sellers and you're sitting down at the listing presentation, you're going to mention staging. All right. So that when you do bring it up, they won't be so reluctant or raise so many objections, because you'll be mentioning it to them that staging may help promote your home and may help us market the home. Right? So that's important. And then that's what we get to, which is once we've got it reasonably cleaned up and decluttered, we've had it staged, we're going to communicate to the seller that we're going to get a professional photographer in there, right? It's important, something that some of the other, I know Eric mentioned it. It's important to get professional photos. A lot of real estate agents, when they see those when they see those pictures that came off the iPhone, you know it right away. It is not the same as professional photos. And does it cost money? Sure it does. So do signs, so do riders. And those are all things we're going to go over, but they're all important. The sign is important. The rider is important. And the photos are, forget about it, right there at the top of the list, right? Because what are we going to do? We're going to put this out on social media. And what do we need to do it on social media? We need quality photos, not cell phone photos. We need quality photos so that they resonate over the internet, and that when people download the pictures, they look good, right? It's important, and it's professional. It gives a professional feel to the listing. So those photos are really important. And you're going to want to make sure that you do that. So if you can go over whatever the major problems are that may be in a house, like I mentioned, the stain on the ceiling is something that's a really inexpensive fix. It's a gallon of paint, right? And if a house hasn't been painted in a long period of time, that's not a really huge expense. I mean, you don't have to paint the entire house, first of all. Maybe you have to paint the living room because it's so important, and the ceiling in the living room because it's so important. You can be selective about that. Look, if the client has the resources, you'd like to get a fresh coat of paint. If it hasn't been painted in 5 to 10 years, you'd like it to have a fresh coat of paint. It's going to look a lot better, right? And then the second thing that's not the biggest amount of money, but it can be something that really makes a difference, and that's the flooring. If you've got hardwood floors, they're not, I mean, you can get, let's just say you have a pretty large living room and it's 20 by 30, 500 square feet, right? 500 square feet, you could probably get done for around $1,000, about $2 a square foot for refinishing. That's not high, but that's a good price. There are plenty of guys that charge more than $2 a square foot. I work with a guy who does that standard, $2 a square foot. It comes out beautiful. So think about that. You'd have new floors for $1,000. That might blow somebody away. And then you put that nice rug and that nice couch and that nice table. And then all of a sudden you've staged the living room and it looks like a different house. I've had people say to us, when we get done staging their property, my house never looked this good in the 30 years I lived here. It's happened. And when Eric gets done staging it, they go, wow, I never thought that this could do this and those colors would ever work. I didn't even, like me, most people can't see what's not in front of them. People like Eric, people like L'Oreal, so they have the ability to see what's not there yet. And that's something you really got to take advantage of. So the floors, painting, these are inexpensive, cheap fixes for problems that have chinks in their armor, right? And carpeting. You can either get it cleaned, or more importantly, if there's hardwood underneath it, taking it up is a couple $100. You get a college kid $200 and it's done in a day. Like that is something.
You just froze, Joe. Joe, can you hear me?
I'm gonna email Joe just to see
Yeah.
if his Wi-Fi went out.
Okay.
He lives
Thank you.
in Pequannock, so probably.
Thank you, Christine.
Hi, guys. Until Joe comes in, do you guys have any questions? Anything that you want to ask meantime?
Ada, where's our resource for Cole Realty? How do we get onto that?
That's on the third floor at one of the computers on the
Okay,
third floor. Mhm.
All right. Does that
Yep.
just have regular access, or does it also have access to cell phone and email data?
I don't know about cell phone, but there's definitely phone numbers and emails sometimes. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Yep.
Cole is a great resource.
Absolutely. So I want to go over the topic on staging. Sometimes it's very difficult to ask somebody to, you know, tell them that it is not very presentable. So, we have to do it in a way that it is not hurting their ego and their current position. So do you guys want to give me any examples how you would say it to somebody that they need staging? Come on, speak up, guys.
Okay, I have
I'll be
one.
like, can I be honest with you and
Please.
just treat you like as if you were my brother or my sister and just speak frankly with you? Do I have your permission to do that?
Yes, of course, Pedro. That's why I'm having this appointment with you.
Fantastic.
I would say along the lines, like if they have personal stuff like pictures and knickknacks, I would say, although your family pictures are lovely, if people come in and see your family in here, they can't picture themselves. So you want to give them a blank slate, let them picture themselves, this being their home. So it might be a better idea to keep them safe, also to, pack up your personal belongings and your knickknacks, because people, you want them to picture themselves in your home as their home, and they can't do that if they see your faces in it.
Right. So I guess that's where Pedro was going to. Thank you, Belle. Pedro, do you want to give me maybe more polished version, because we still have to be very sensitive to people,
Of course.
people personal stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, certainly the topic of decluttering would be a major one. Deep cleaning also, dusting the blinds, vacuuming
So-
carpets. If you have pets, to
So
maybe
I'm
shampoo.
more concerned of how to say it. Like, now, let's say we all know that those are the things to do, but sometimes it's very uncomfortable to say to somebody, listen, your dog smells, your house smells like a dog. And how can you say it in a way that will not, that will not harm emotions of the other person?
That's a little tough, and I don't have your experience to be able to do something like that, but I'll be interested to listen and learn how you approach that situation.
Nice.
Ron-
Anyone else? Fred?
Oh, Ron said the other day on when we were listening, he said, he was like, I love your dog. Your dog's so cute. It's great. He's like, but when a buyer comes in here, they might smell the dog. Like, maybe we don't talk about getting him groomed, but it's not me. I love dogs. And I think that's kind of where he was going with it the other day. Like,
Awesome.
and just put it on
Absolutely.
the people that are about to come through your house. Not that you're attacking them. Like, you like the
Right.
dog, but you have other people. I mean, and then I want to hear what you have to say, but I would go from the point of like, I want your home to sell. I want it to look the best that it can absolutely best, get the most amount of people in, have the pictures look amazing. What do you think that we could work on that would, and like ask them a question so that they give you the feedback, but I don't know if that's right.
No, absolutely. That's I don't think I could have said any better than that. That's great. What about declutter? How would you present guys declutter?
You want the buyer to be able to walk through the home without having obstructions and too many, pieces of furniture or whatever. The other thing that I notice also, and especially with people taking their own photographs, is that they don't really tidy up the bed or remove the clothes from the floor, or they don't open the blinds to get good light into the home when they're taking pictures.
Right.
But also, if even regardless of the pictures, you're walking into a home and it's messy, it doesn't feel like it's presentable. And as an agent, I think our job is to advise them the best way to showcase their home, to make it as presentable as possible, and to, just make the home show ready.
Well,
Yes, absolutely.
Ada,
Mhm.
one of the things you could say is, I'm going to be having a professional photographer come in, and we're going to be needing to move things around. So if you could clear off your counters in the kitchen, take the
Mhm.
magnets off of the refrigerator so that it gives a nice clean picture, and have the beds made, the pictures will come out excellent. And then people will know what they're walking into. So if you can keep it like that for a showing, people will see the house in their own mind,
Right.
something to that effect. But
Yeah, I totally agree, 100%, Fred. I think, to be honest, ideally, I would love to have house without the homeowners. Sometimes I think that's the best way, because especially if they're not needy, and if they don't put their stuff together. And the way I would say it is that, Fred, like Pedro was saying, how open you want me to be with you. So I would like to, sometimes we need to do things that might be not in your style, or not in your value, not not in line with your values of how you live right now. And I understand that's how you live. We have to make it house look uniformed, I will say, we have to take your personal items, like pictures, photographs, stuff like that, or smaller items, start packing them away, because that will be still process of that what you'll be going through anyway. And they will be taking away from people to looking at your house. They will start looking at the pictures, they will get distracted, or they will get distracted by the smaller items. And sometimes that takes away their attention from the house. So let's do the right thing. If you don't mind, I would love to walk around and point out stuff that might need to go away. Will that be okay, Fred?
sure, that'd be fine. That's why I have you in here.
All right, great. Thank you so much. And there is, and it's always uncomfortable. It's not very comfortable. So I'm just looking at the stuff that is here on.
I had put a post up about, because this hit me just recently.
Uh-huh.
People letting their dogs just run in the yard. And in the summertime, that's a problem, because people want to walk out in the yard, and then they have to start stepping all over or into, if they don't see it, the dogs,
Right.
what they left behind. Or worse yet, because of all the snow, a person wasn't walking their dog. They just let it out on the deck. That's a hard conversation to have, but as an agent, you need to address that with
Right.
with the seller.
Absolutely.
I understand, Mr. Seller, that the weather's been really bad and you haven't been able to actually take the dog for a walk. But we really need to get the deck cleaned up, because people like to walk out onto there, and we don't want them stepping in anything and tracking it back into the house. So those
Absolutely.
are hard things to tell people. But yeah,
They have, I think one of the things we have to make it clear for them, they are not the owners anymore, they're sellers. So that's a different mindset. When you and your house is not a home anymore, it's a product.
it's
A huge
commodity.
difference. Yeah. So we have to, once we say it that way, they understand they have nothing against their personal lifestyle or their personal choices of how they live. So that's a little bit of a uncomfortable feeling when I go through it, but usually we do it well. Next topic here, I just open up. A good thing I was on the call, because I didn't know that we were supposed to be doing this class together, but I said, Joe, I think we'll be too much together. So he was handling. I said, you'll be fine.
Aida,
But
I have
let
I
me
have a
back him up.
question.
Mhm.
Sorry to
Sure.
interrupt there.
No.
So in terms of, you know, what Fred was talking about and the decluttering and everything else, I've walked into a couple of homes where people are very, very religious, and
Right.
they have their religious artifacts literally everywhere,
Everywhere.
everywhere. And I mean, a couple of things myself in a very sensitive way. I'm a spiritual person also, and I get it, but I also respect all religions, every spirituality globally and everything else. How do you
Right.
approach someone that has, I mean, there's like normal, and then there's like, you know, a lot. How do you deal with that?
I will actually start my conversation just the way you did right now, Pedro, letting them know that I have nothing personal against that particular religion, or I am respectful of all religions myself. And again, I don't know, it's just like, I will say something. You have to think, how would you like to hear where will not harm the other person with respect? So letting them know that, hey, Pedro, I don't like, hey, I don't know why I said that. Pedro, as I was looking through your house, I noticed, I see that there is a lot of, you know, certain items that reflects your religion. Can I ask you something? Okay. So right now we don't know who will be coming to the house. And I understand that, you know, we expecting person, you know, from, you know, person that would love any kind of religion, same-minded people, but we don't know who will be coming in. And even though they love and respect your culture, they might be something little bit might throw them away just to see certain items in the house. So will it be so much against your beliefs if we put those things away in the box right now, since you'll be moving anyway?
Right.
Will that be too much for me to ask you to do?
Not at all.
And I don't know, maybe there's a better way, guys. Have you, like, how would you handle it? I never, to be honest, I never had a scenario like that, so I didn't say it, but that's the first thing that came to my mind. How would you guys say the same thing?
That's a
Anyone?
That
is a hard one. That is a hard one.
Yeah, because you don't want to insult anybody.
No.
Absolutely.
That's a fine line. Sorry, guys, I got, I don't know, maybe I got an internet connection. I had to switch over to my phone.
Yeah, Joe, you can take it over from the next page. I was just starting on to marketing the listing. You go,
right,
man.
Right. Yep. And we said creating a file, and I just wanted to do the just listed script real quick. I think that's right when I was getting cut off, just because it's such an awesome script and it's so simple. You're providing value. So anybody who would be willing, Pedro, or maybe anybody willing just to role play with me real quick?
Go ahead, Joe.
All right, great. All right. So when you're calling, you got to have a little bit of information. And when you're calling, you've got your list. You got your 200 homes that are closest to this home. And you're going to call those neighbors and say, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, this is Joe. I'm calling with Keller Williams. I'm a real estate agent here in the Clifton area. I just listed a home over at 138 Beverly Hill Drive. Yeah, just a couple blocks away from you. It's got 3 bedrooms and 1 bath, and it's listed at just $299. I was just wondering, do you know anyone who might want to move into the area?
I actually have a sister that might be looking to make a move.
Oh, wow. Your sister's interested in making a move. Wow, that's great. Again, I apologize. My first name is Joe. What's your first name?
Pedro.
Pedro, thank you so much for taking the time to answer my call. I understand you said your sister is interested. Do you think your sister would like to live in your neighborhood, Pedro?
All my relatives want to live near me, so I imagine, yeah, for sure.
Okay, I get it. You're the guy who keeps everybody together. That's great. Hey, would you feel comfortable if I reached out to your sister? Would that be okay? Do I have your permission?
I'm not sure I want to, give my sister's information out to a stranger.
You know what? That makes a lot of sense, and I totally agree with you. With your permission, can I send you my information? And when you feel comfortable, you can share it with your sister. And also, I want to give you the details about the house and the open house that's coming up. Is that okay? Do I have your permission to send you an email, Pedro?
Sure, why not?
Great. What's the best email for you?
Pedro is great at gmail.com.
Pedro is great at gmail.com. That's great. I love that one, Pedro. Hey, well, I got you on the phone. And again, I really appreciate you taking the time, Pedro. Have you yourself considered making a move in the last 12 months?
Oh, no, I've been there for 30 years. You're going to have to carry me out in a box.
I love that. You're the kind of guy, Pedro, I want to stay in touch with because you know what's going on over there. You know what's going on in that neighborhood, don't you?
I know a little bit.
Great. I'm going to send you my email. Please share it with your sister. Oh, and by the way, the open house is this Sunday, okay, the 7th. And we're going to be having a private tour. We're going to do just for the neighbors. The open house is from 2 to 4. But between 1 and 2, if you and your family would like to come by, bring your sister and anybody else. I'm going to invite all the neighbors over for a private tour between 1 and 2. Please stop by and see me, okay?
Sure. Thank you.
Boom, click. So that conversation is the same conversation you have when it's sold. Ring, ring. Hi, this is Joe Landon from Keller Williams Realty. We just sold a house at 138 Beverly Hill Road, right down the street from you. It had 3 beds, 1 bath, and sold for 10% above asking price. It's this same call. One is just listed, one is just sold. It's a simple call because you're not asking them for really anything. You're inviting them to an open house, or when it's the just sold call, you're letting them know about the amazing activity in their neighborhood. $20,000 over asking price. Wow, can you believe that? People get excited when they hear that their neighborhood's going for top dollar. They love it. They want that information. So you're providing value. It's not a bad call. It's a great call to make. It's my favorite call is the just listed call, by the way. And what is that going to do? That's going to give you leads, leading to more listings, creating more leverage. Simple. So number 8 is target your marketing to active real estate agents who specialize in selling homes in the neighborhood. That goes back to my earlier point, which is finding agents that you want to get the word out to. And some of those agents might be from completely different areas, right? You're also going to want to include the home on your company in your MLS tours and allowing other agents to see the home for themselves. So you can invite your own local agents. If you know you have like a top selling agent in our office, which we have quite a few, Donna Nelson comes to mind right away. She's a phenomenal buyer's agent on the Boswell Iosa team. You'd want her. That's the kind of eyes you want. You want her eyes on your property because she's dealing with buyers from all over and all kinds of price ranges. Before I lost my computer, I did see somebody ask a question about what price point you would start staging at. Doesn't matter. Sometimes, like I mentioned, that house in Belleville, that was not a high-end home. That was $295,000. That was pretty low end, actually. But with just a carpet, a rug, and a rug, a couch, and a table, we did the floors and we painted it. It was a new house. People thought it was a brand new house. Those were the people who said, my house never looked this good. So I just wanted to go back to that.
They changed their mind. I want to keep the home now. Looks so good.
Yeah, only effect is we got them $40,000 over asking price, and they're clients of ours for life. Just that simple. We did the right thing. We marketed it right. We got marketing materials right. We did an open house right. We're going to go over that in a little while, the mega open house. You're going to create the open house schedule and market the open house through phone calls, through the MLS, and through door knocking. You can still door knock for open houses. It's not that, look, you got to be careful. It's COVID, I understand. But eventually the world will get back to normal. And we will be the people whose faces we need to get out there. It just can't always, it's not going to be, we're not going to be stuck in Zoom hell forever. I can tell you that. Pardon my language there. So create the open house schedule and make sure you get it out to every single person you can, every single neighbor you can get it out to, and as many phone calls and as many people as you can tell about that open house, drive it to the open house. And of course, target buyers and investors in your own database. Don't forget about your own database and calling your own database and calling them and say, hey, Mike, I know you bought a house for me last year. How'd that flip go? It went pretty good. Look, I got another one, 138 Beverly Hill Road in Clifton. It's a little beat up, but man, it's a nice neighborhood. Don't forget those guys. Your past clients might want it. And don't forget your past clients have sisters and brothers and everybody else that they have that they know. They're all looking for a great deal, right? So don't forget about your active people in your own database. And then the most important thing. Number 14 is the most important thing because it goes back to the wow experience that you are really searching for. To have someone say when they get done doing business with you, wow, that was a good experience. That will keep you business and in business for years to come. So provide your seller with either by day or weekly, whatever they're comfortable with, and also whatever form they're comfortable with. I had a 75-year-old lady who didn't want to get a phone call. Oh, just text me. I'm really good at texting. I like texting. She didn't do anything with her email, but she was a maniac when it came to texting. So everything was a text. Texted her once a day, every day for 3 weeks until the house was sold. Easy. It was easier than making the phone call, really. So whether it's a weekly update, a daily update, a bi-daily update, whatever is the most comfortable and the most comfortable form of communication, do it. Don't let that go by the wayside. You have to stay in constant communication with them. If you want to earn business and customers for life, they have to know that they have to be comfortable getting that phone call from you. You know, the worst is when, you know, they're like, oh man, that's the real estate agent. I don't even want to talk to him. That's the opposite. We don't ever want that to happen. So provide your seller with your weekly updates, with your marketing efforts, your showings, the open house, how are things going? And don't forget to ask them, how are things going for you? How are you guys doing with your preparations? Be in the conversation. And remember, it's about them. It's not about you. It's not about what great job you're doing. It's about what you're doing for them. And then obviously what's going on with them and what challenges they're having. Right. And so that's something that you can also, when you're communicating with them, that's also going to give you a playing field that you can both work off of, because you're empathetic to their situation, and in some cases, maybe even sympathetic to their, you know, you may have, you know, in the upcoming year, you may have some sellers that have to sell for financial reasons. It's not something that's been talked a lot about, but due to the situation that we are in next year, probably not this year because they won't lift the moratoriums, but next year, there will be a slew of homes that are coming on the market for financial reasons, just for the simple fact that people can't make their payments. It's an unfortunate part of life, but it happens. I don't think there's even been a short sale in the last 2 years. That's going to change next year. They can't keep putting it off. People have to pay their mortgages, right? I have to pay mine. You have to pay yours. That's not going away. So those are the 14-point action steps that we need to have a mega listing, to be a mega agent, and to have a mega open house, right? So I know that Christina sent out in the chat there. You can pull this up if you like. Just make sure. Oh, I went upside down. Sorry about that. Gotta get some power in there. Sorry about that. I know Christina sent this out. And it's going to go over some of the things we already did, but this is our mega open house guideline, because the leverage that you get from having a listing, that open house is not really Ronnie talked about this. It's not really designed to sell that home. What's the real purpose? Anybody, what's the real purpose of an open house?
To get buyers.
To get leads, right? The sole purpose of conducting an open house is to generate seller and buyer leads that would turn into business in time. As I mentioned before, I have this 3-bed, 1-bath house. These people can't do, you might have somebody who comes in and says, well, you know what? It just looks like it's got too much work for me, but I like the house. I like the neighborhood. As an agent, you need to be prepared with what other homes are on the market when you're doing that open house. There could be a house that's 2 blocks away that's got 4 beds, 2 baths, and it's a little bit more expensive, but it's still in their range. Don't you think it would provide amazing value to them if you were so unselfish to say, well, you know what? I understand. Maybe this house doesn't work for you, or the house that you came by yesterday, when you call them on Monday and they came by on Sunday, you know what, it makes sense that house might not be right for you. But there are 3 other houses. Have you seen them yet? One on ABC Street, one on Apple Street, and one on Delta Street. Have you seen any of those? I have. I've previewed those homes. Would you be interested in going and taking a look at those homes? There's your opportunity to take someone who came to your open house, who's not going to buy your house, and turn them into a deal. That's the leverage. Use it to get to the next lead, to the next appointment, to the next listing, to the next open house, right? So it might not be business today, might not be business tomorrow, but sometime in the future, if you do the right thing, stay in contact with them, you're going to have an opportunity to put something in front of them that may interest them. And that's the opportunity you're looking for. So the way that we've always said to do an open house, there are a couple of steps. You have before the open house begins, the day of the open house, when you arrive at the open house, during the open house, and then after it, right? So those are the 5 different ways that you can put as much out there as possible in terms of marketing and getting the home sold. So before the open house, you want to make those just listed open house calls. Call that neighborhood, call, especially now since you'd really like to door knock. And if you're not comfortable with that, or if you get a bad vibe, then obviously you're not going to do it. Times are a little bit different right now, but door knocking is just an awesome thing to do when you have a listing. It's the easiest one because you're like, oh no, I'm literally your neighbor for the next 30 days. That's my sign on that front lawn. I'm the guy who's going to be there. Let me know if you need anything. Cup of sugar, glass of milk, whatever. Let me know. I'm your neighbor for the next 30 days or 60 days, right? You want to create that rapport like, I'm in the neighborhood. I'm here. I'm going to be here all the time. I do that all the time, even if it's just the guy next door, because it helps. Any information you have about the information is going to arm you with it, right? So the just listed open house calls, the just listed open house mail outs, right? You're also going to have that list and it's going to have everybody's address in that neighborhood. You're going to want to get that mailer out on Wednesday for the Sunday open house, right? So it gets there by Thursday or Friday at the latest. They have it. It's right there. It comes in on Thursday or Friday. Like, oh, there's an open house 2 doors down. Maybe we'll stop by. Maybe we'll take a look at it. Hey, maybe my sister wants to buy that house, right? So the just listed call, the open house mail outs, they say a minimum of 150. I think that's about right. 150 to 200 homes that are in the neighborhood. So that's before the open house even begins. That's on Monday when you get the listing on the MLS and it's coming soon. The day of the open house, you want to put out as many signs as you have. All right. So if you have 10 signs, put out 10. If you have 6, put out 6. You want to put those signs out early. I'm talking 8 o'clock in the morning. When I do it, I do them at I'm an early riser, so I do it at 7 o'clock in the morning. I go out there. There's nobody around. There's no traffic. It's easy to get them, even to high impact and high traffic areas. If you go out there early, you can get your signs out there. And when the guy goes out or the mom goes out to get her bagels, she sees the sign. The longer you have those signs out there, the more recognition you're going to get. So be early with that and put those signs out early and put out as many as you can. And don't forget you got to have one good one on the front lawn, either a nice big flag or just a sandwich board, but make sure you have one that says open house on it right on the front lawn. We always suggest that you arrive no more than 30 minutes before the scheduled start time. So if you're doing a 1 to 4, you'd want to be there at 12:30 at the latest. On the last open house I did, it was a 2 to 4. I had somebody show up at 1:30, and that's someone I'm still working with right now. And he didn't buy that house, but I'm still working with him. So that's pretty awesome, right? That's that lead that you've created through your leverage. So be there 30 minutes on time, turn on all the lights, open up all the windows if it's not done already. You've coached these people, you've told them about the importance of the way the house works. People are funny, they have their own thing, they have their own way that they live their lives. So turn on all the lights, AC blasted if it's summertime. You don't want people sweating in there, and you also don't want people freezing, but that's a little bit less of a problem. But during the summer, get that AC going, get all the lights on, get all the doors open, right? Make sure you have your welcome signs right at the entrance, and make sure you have everything you need: pens, paper, your guest registry, right? We have these nowadays. We don't really use a guest registry as much as we use the COVID doc. We actually put right on the COVID doc, we have name, address, email, and yes or no, whether or not they're dealing with a broker. And then what we do is, to make sure we get everything, we say, no, absolutely. I'm gonna text you a copy of what you just signed. I want you to have a copy of it, of course. You just signed it. It's a legal document. So yeah, I have to get it over to you. First of all, you have to sign it, and I have to get it over to you. So please let me have your information. Makes it so simple. And most people understand when they go to an open house, they've got to share their information. Your job is to make sure you get it. So during the open house, we've always felt it's imperative to do one tour at a time. I know other agents might vary on this, but I really think it's important to do one tour at a time. And what that does is, number one, is it allows you to personally communicate with that seller. You are walking them through, and you are the one answering questions. And there aren't people crossing paths and going all over the place and the mishmash. That's not success. That's not control. What you're going to want to do is prove that you're the professional by saying, oh, I'm sorry, we can only let one group in at a time. I want everyone to have the same opportunity that you're going to have to look at the home on their own terms by themselves. Who's going to argue with that? It's common sense, right? They're not going to argue. So we make it a point to only do one tour at a time. We bring them in, we get all the information, we tell them we're going to text them their information so they have a copy of it. And then we're going to begin by showing the house, right? So if you've gotten all the information, take your time. Don't be rushed. Don't let anybody be like, oh, I have to be somewhere. Oh, I'm sorry. Would it be better for you if you came back? I understand. I want you to see the house, but there are 3 people who are in front of you, and there's a process that we have to go through here. So with all the politeness and civility that you have, you want to make sure that people abide by the rules that you're setting up. You just have to do it nice. Keep smiling. Like Ronnie said, when he makes phone calls, he's smiling, right? You smile, you're in a good frame of mind. So welcome every guest. There's a script for that. It's a great script. It's that simple script I was just saying to you before, which is, hi, thank you for coming to our open house today. I'm really excited that you came by. We're really excited to get this home on the market. Are you a neighbor, or are you actively looking for a home right now? Going around to open houses and shopping for a home. Oh, well, we're looking for a home. Okay. You've already got their information. Okay, Mr. Buyer. And are you working with an agent right now? That's always one of the questions you've got to get out right from the beginning, so that yes, they have an agent. 9 times out of 10, they'll tell you they have an agent, whether they do or they don't. It's like, you walk into the store and you need to buy a pair of pants. The girl comes up to you and she says, can I help you? You say, oh, no, I'm just looking. But you have to buy a pair of pants, so you have to buy a house. So make sure no one sneaks in. Make sure you have control of the front and the back door. What we've been doing during COVID, another slight COVID thing, is we've been taking people in the front door where the lines get created. And then what we're doing is we're showing them the whole house, and we're taking them out the back. This way, again, there's no crossing of paths. It's a little COVID thing that we've kind of worked into our open house. And look, a line is a good thing. It's a good thing for the neighbors to know. It's good for the other people online to know. It's good to know that there's competition, there's people out there. And then once it's all over, right, turn off all the lights, whatever the condition is that you need to get the house back to, you do it, right? You remove your signs, you pick them up, you pick up your riders, you pick up your signs. You take all the realtors' business cards so that you can follow up with them and your sign-in sheets. You make sure the doors are locked, and boom, you go back to the office. The first thing you need to do is put all those leads into command. First thing, before you forget, before it's not on your mind. You may have notes about these people. Oh yeah, I remember that guy. He was a doctor. His wife was a nurse. They live in Livingston and they want to move to Wayne. Whatever it is, those notes are going to be present in your mind that day, that Sunday afternoon. So go and put that into command right away, and then enjoy the rest of your Sunday, right? So if you want to go the extra mile, the extra mile, you go back and you door knock it again. You go back and you hand out and talk to neighbors again. You go back and you make phone calls again, a just listed call. You're not even under contract yet. That's the extra mile. If you want to go the extra mile, you do it, and you get extra exposure for your clients and for the property that you're listing. All right. So that's the mega open house. You guys should have a copy of that now. We've been basically teaching a course like that every month. The only reason why we're not doing it this month is because we're doing Ignite. So we're doing it here. And we basically teach a course on how to do a mega open house. It's good.
Joe, real quick, as
Yep.
far as door knocking again, do you door knock the same people?
Same neighborhood. Hey, I didn't see you come by to the open house. How's everything going? Just want to let you know, we listed the property. You know what? We got 11 offers on it. It's amazing. Just want to check, see if there's anybody you knew who might want to take a look at the property before it goes under contract. Right? There's a bunch of different ways that you can go with that. And don't forget, when you door knock, you're not going to get everybody. So it may not be the same people. Just like when you phone call, you don't get the same people every time. Some people answer the phone, some people are busy, some people are at work. So yes, making that same just listed phone calls and doing that same door knocking, it may be to totally different people though, Pedro. Yes, it is going to be some of the same. And if you know you already talked to somebody, you might not knock on that door again. If you felt you already had a rapport or you already communicated to them, you might not. But in general, if you want to go, that's just called the extra mile. If you want to go the extra mile, you make sure that you touched everybody in that neighborhood so that they know you're the professional who's getting that home sold for over asking price. You want them to know, right? Okay. So now this is an exercise where you guys can either, there's a couple of things that we want to talk about, right? Pricing, right? So they're making sure that the home is properly priced and that it comps out in the market. The signage, staging, images with professional photographer, right? And that's all part of, getting the word out. And then obviously don't forget the social media aspect of it, which in today's market is huge because that's where they're getting all their information from. Somebody wants to know, Sean Annan said it the best. He said, somebody wants to know what the square footage is, they go to Zillow. I mean, that's where they're getting their information. It's from the internet. So rely heavily on you putting it out there and marketing on the internet, social media, and obviously all the websites and the MLS sites. Those are all going to be important. All right. And I guess I don't know Twitter, but I know that's a big one. I wouldn't be the guy. I'm going to skip that because I would not be the guy to explain Twitter to you or even how to do it. And don't forget also too, like on Facebook, they have They have the Montville Moms, and they have the the Wayne something club, or they, even on Facebook, they have a lot. Use those, get it out there, right? You gotta kind of go on every platform that you can. I know the Woman Horse are just phenomenal at that. Megan's like one of our tech ambassadors. They totally get it. So use those resources and talk to them and see what you might be missing. I know I have to. When I have a question, I call them, or I call Kevin Smith, who's another tech ambassador here at the Market Center. Use the experience that we have so that you can learn, number one, but then also make it a part of your own repertoire, make it a part of your own knowledge, right? And so that you can provide that information to people. So that's the open house and the importance of the open house, right? Any questions about the mega open house or anything to do with any of the things that we just talked about? Anybody? Okay. All right. And then just to finish up on the open house, Aida, I know that you've done a ton of open houses, that you're very successful at it. Is there anything else you wanted to add to those steps, before, during, after the open house? There's so many components to it, but is there anything else you wanted to add to that?
Not really, Joe. Just maybe some safety and some like for COVID, maybe some sprays that you might want to bring, or booties. Always have them in your car. Just like little details like that. But overall, no, not really.
Yeah, well, that's a great point. You know what? Thank you so much, because that's a great point. In the it's funny how you have to preference most of the sentences with, well, in this situation we're in right now, because it is different. There's never been anything like this. So yes, make sure you have your booties in the car, gloves, masks. I bring a whole extra couple of sets of everything, so that if somebody shows up, and most people know they have to have it. But in the beginning of COVID, we had people showing up that didn't have masks or weren't prepared. So we would always have them. And that's definitely something, it's a very nominal fee. It's not like it was in the beginning. Right now you can get masks, booties, keep them in your car, so that when necessary, you might have a seller say, oh, do you have gloves? Of course I do. Or do you have booties? Of course I do, right? You want to be prepared. Thank you, Aida. Being prepared with the sprays, the disinfectants, the sanitizers, very important nowadays. Thank you so much, Aida. That's great. The third thing, the step that we're going to talk about, which is probably the most important, after we've gotten the listing, we've created leverage by getting our marketing pieces out there. We've made phone calls. We've door knocked, and we've communicated with neighbors, agents, friends, family members, past clients of our own, as many people as possible about this listing. And then on the other side of it, we need to continue to communicate with the sellers. Okay, yeah, we're you want them to know we had the pictures came in, send them the pictures. Wow, they came out great. Thank you. And then the sign's getting installed, and then all the things that are happening, the checklist of items that we're going over. There's no reason why you shouldn't communicate that to the sellers. They want to know, and they like being held in the loop, and that keeps you accountable for talking to them on a regular basis. That's what's going to create customers for life. So
Joe,
continue. What's that?
I want to go back for a second, if I may. I want to just share with you how I've been getting 100% of accurate cell phone numbers for buyers that coming to my open houses.
Okay, I think I know how I do it. How do you do it?
Okay, so what I've been doing lately, it's not with me right now, but I print a piece of paper. I put it in, like in a nice, thing. And I say, please text your number to this cell phone. And that's my cell phone. So I say, please text your number here. And first of all, before they enter, they have to text it to me, texting their name. No, I say, please text your name to this number. So that way they don't have to touch a pen. They don't have to touch a paper. I see that it came from them. And the best thing of all is to that phone number, I sent them all documents necessary, your CIS, your seller's disclosure, everything. So I make one nice PDF document and I just forward it to them. So I just want to share that real quick.
Wow, that's great. That's great. That's a great idea. I love that. And that
Yeah.
people, and you know what? Certain amount of people will like that better. Now, I just want to reiterate to your point. I don't let anybody put their own information down on a piece of paper. I do everything myself. I write their name, I write their telephone number, I write their cell phone number, I write their agent's name, and then I hand it to them to sign. But to your point, that makes a lot of sense. But eventually they are going to have to pick up the pen and sign the COVID doc, right?
Yes,
So-
they can. And that's just more of a, definitely, yeah, that they're not eliminated to sign that. But
Right.
still, they cannot enter the open house unless they text me their phone number.
I love that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm definitely
Yeah,
gonna use
and yeah, and you know, if they really like say, I say, look, with COVID and everything, we really need to know your accurate phone information. So in case something happens, we'll be reaching out to you. So we need to know who's coming in anyway.
Right. And the way that I do it is the way that I mentioned. I say, okay, great. Thanks for all your information. I'm going to text this to you right now. Did you get it? Did you get it? That's how I do it. I'm going
Yeah.
to text you. Oh, thank you for signing it. Appreciate all your information. Believe me, I'm not going to, people are like, oh, I don't want you sending me. I understand. I'm not going to barrage you with emails that are crazy emails, but I do need to make sure you get this. Did you get it? And they go, oh yeah, I got it. Thank you. It's a legal document. They just signed it.
Yeah.
It goes hand in hand, and it actually builds a little rapport, a little trust because of that. So that's good. I like your thing. I'm definitely going to use that.
Awesome.
Okay, so then the third component of this class is communicating with the sellers, right? So you've done all the heavy lifting in terms of you got the listing, right? Listings, right? Who was it who said, I live in the world of listings? That was Ron Iosa. So that's the world I live in. I think that's the world every real estate agent wants to live in, is the listing world. Now, will we work with buyers? Absolutely. I work with buyers all the time. So does he. But the difference is, Eric Melnikoff is singularly focused on listings, and he has other people take care of buyers because he knows listings creates the leverage. You need the leads to get the listings. You need the listings to create the leverage is what we really want to do, right? Because that's going to give us the greatest opportunity to get another deal. And I know that there was when we were doing the class on Win the Seller, we were talking about the statistics in terms of how long does it take to work with a buyer. And I believe I said, I was pretty sure I got this from Keller Williams. It was approximately around 46 to 48 hours. Now think about that. It's quite a large number of hours. You could take somebody out for 3 hours on a Saturday, 6 Saturdays in a row, you spent 24 hours with them and you haven't even written an order yet, an offer up yet. Then you write the offer up and it doesn't get accepted. Back to the drawing board you go. That process repeats itself until you win or they quit. When you have a listing, it's completely the opposite, right? The analogy was when there's 20 offers, do you want to be the one who's looking at the 20 offers and choosing one? Or do you want to be one of the 25 hoping and praying, pick me, pick me? Everybody wants to be on the listing side, right? Because it's going to generate more leverage for you and forward and more listings, right? So that's the whole point of it. So when we come to the third component of the course, it's communicating with the sellers and creating a wow experience. Before we do that, Christina, we should just show, I know I went over it and it's going to be a lot of the same stuff, but it's a very short video. Why don't we just do the video on the open house? It's only about 2 minutes long. So let's just watch that so I know I check marked myself on my curriculum.
Okay, let me just pull it up. And everyone can see this, correct?
It's just starting, yeah.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Chris Suarez, and I'm here to tell you the 5 steps to holding an effective open house. Step 1, strategically select the home you want to hold open. Choose a home that gives you the greatest potential to have buyers and sellers find you. This might be a home that is in a great traffic pattern, whether that be car traffic or people walking by in walkable neighborhoods in your community. Select a home around a local event where neighbors or even out-of-town people might be stopping in. Step 2 of holding an effective open house is advertising and marketing. Marketing begins a week in advance of any open house you might hold open. Begin by posting internet ads a week before. Get a sign in the yard and let neighbors and passerbys know that the home will be open later in the week. Remember to contact both by phone and email any internet leads or phone calls you received on that listing prior to the open house. Don't forget to make 50 calls around the home prior to the open house and door knock for a radius of about 2 or 3 blocks. Step 3, know your scripts. Know what you're going to say to greet the visitor. Know what questions you're going to ask while they're in the home. One of the greatest first lines you could use is, "Thanks for stopping in to tour my open house. Are you one of the neighbors or are you out shopping for a home today?" Immediately, you'll know if you're dealing with a potential buyer or a potential seller. Step 4 is keep the right mindset and prepare. Remember, open houses are lead generation activities, so enter with the mindset of a top lead generator. Prepare yourself with comparable properties, market research, at least 2 or 3 other homes that you could potentially show should the opportunity arise. And step 5, always follow up with every lead that comes through that door. Call them, email them, write thank you notes that same day. A simple follow-up script to use directly after an open house goes like this. "Thanks for stopping into my open house this morning. It was great to meet you. I did a little bit of digging in the office after we met and after the open house and found 3 other properties I think really fit your search criteria. I know the home that we saw this morning wasn't quite perfect, but these 3 have some real potential. We could get into them tomorrow at 4 or at 6, which would work better for you. Great, let's meet at my office and we can go from there." My biggest aha when doing open houses is remembering open houses are not a technique to keep current sellers happy. In reality, open houses are great lead generation tools to connect with potential future buyers and sellers. By using effective scripts and systems leading up to the open house and great follow-up techniques after the open house, you'll build a met database of future buyers and sellers. Thanks for watching KW Connect and make it a great day.
Great. Yeah, that's great. So so that's the other thing. Does anybody have any over what we've gone over in the last hour and a half or so? Does anybody have any ahas, anything that they kind of hadn't thought about before, or something that kind of jogged something different in the way you looked at an open house or a listing? Can anybody share something that they may have, an aha, something that's made them consider looking at it differently?
Well, I think that right now with COVID, it's a lot easier to get people's true information. The old sign-in sheets, they would put stuff down and 3/4 of the time it wasn't real to begin with. So
that's why I fill it out myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But Aida's idea of getting that cell phone, man, that was like, aha, that clicked for me.
Me too.
So, yeah, that was great.
Love that.
I
never thought of it. Just never
No.
thought. Oh no! Send me a text right now. I can't. No, I can't. You got to send me a text. That's like brain surgery, right? That's like awesome.
See, that's why these training sessions are so good, because no matter how long you've been doing something or how good you're at it, you can always learn something.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Anybody else maybe, didn't even think that's what, maybe somebody said, "Oh, I thought an open house was to sell." It's not. It's not to sell that house. That's an aha I got for the first time I listened to Chris Suarez actually at Family Reunion last year, and I was like, holy cow, like it's not has nothing to do with selling the house. It's all about the leverage you're creating by being able to get out there and getting your your business in front of other people, because your business, your inventory is that house.
Yeah, one of the things I see that's happening now that it never used to be like this is the coming soon. It drives that coming soon, that comes out and nobody can get in to see it until the open house on Sunday. Oh my God, that creates such an
Momentum.
uproar. Oh my
Yeah.
God, the lines are outside the door and it's
And-
great.
And that's why, thank you, Fred, because that's why it's so important. When you are in the coming soon stage, you must return every phone call immediately. Those are the hottest leads. Those are people who are saying, I'm not going to wait.
Yeah.
That's going to be great.
Something that happened to me this past Sunday, if you don't mind me sharing this real quick.
Oh.
I pulled up, obviously I'm working with a buyer and I'm standing out in the rain. And the next door neighbor comes out of his house with his couple dogs. And I said, wow, look at this line here. I said, can you imagine what the houses are selling for now? He says, yeah. He says, my God, this is crazy. I said, well, I don't know if my buyer is going to be able to buy this one with this whole line that's out here. I says, but take my business card. I said, if you're thinking of selling your house, give me a call because I got a buyer that wants the neighborhood. So he took the card and, I don't know if I'm ever going to hear from him, but now I have his address. He's
Right.
one of those cards I'm going to be sending out.
Absolutely. That is a thank you card. Make sure that is a great thank you card. Hey, thank you for taking the time. I know that, it was crazy out there. And believe me, if you had an open house on Saturday and Sunday, there was a line on Saturday and there was a line on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
35 offers to boot.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Crazy. Anybody else with any ahas? Maybe there's something they hadn't thought of and they want to share, just something enlightening.
I like the concept that you had people line up in the front and go out through the back. That's something that could make, like, I guess, the traveling in and out of the house, I guess, less. And it's also safer as well, too.
Yeah, that's the real reason. That's the real reason why we were doing it, was really because the COVID, so that the less number of people that cross paths, everybody's more comfortable. First of all, I'm more comfortable because I'm only going to deal with one group at a time. And when I get them, I take them through the house. Nobody gets through that front door until I go to the back door, say thank you so much for coming. And I have whoever is assisting me, they're going to be standing out front. They're going to say thanks for coming. Bye-bye. Right? So you're going to have two people greeting them, two people saying goodbye in the front, out the back. Next group goes in. Thank you. It's been something that's been successful, especially because of where we're at in the times. Anybody else?
Joe, yes, I just want to point out something else.
Sure.
When we're doing open house, like, most people think we're there only to get buyers, and just keep in mind, we're there to definitely get potential sellers. So be your best, shine the most possible way as you can as an agent. And also just want to point out that watch out what you say, because sometimes homeowners sense sometimes they come back as a buyer. I've heard that story. And since you don't know them personally, especially you covering for somebody, please be careful what you say, how you say it, or they might send their cousins or somebody they know. So if they say, well, isn't it too expensive, or this is pretty ugly, or whatever, like, just be careful how you represent or what do you say about the property to anyone else out there. That's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Aida. That's so true. Absolutely. Yeah, the open house has so many permutations, and it's also evolving because of where we're at right now. But it is a amazing, powerful tool that you can use to leverage your business and propel it forward. Okay, so that's the open house. Then the last thing we're going to go over is the importance of communicating with sellers. There is a good John Bath has a good video. Why don't we watch that video first, and then I'll dive into the material. It'll be a good starter for us. Is that okay, Christina?
Yep, so you want me to play the video right now?
Yeah, let's play the video now, and then this way I've got my check marks, and we'll discuss it, and then we'll be able to go over the rest of the material. Yes.
Hi, I'm Josh Bath, and I'm here to talk to you about creating a wow experience with your clients. Creating that wow experience with your clients starts right in the initial interview. When you're sitting down with them and you're listening to them and you're asking them good questions, that's really what sets you apart from the rest of the agents that just go in there and talk. The mindset should be not, what am I going to ask them next before they've even finished their sentence with you? The mindset should be, what are you saying to me? A couple things that I do to establish a really good wow experience for my clients. I tell them that a photographer is going to contact them. I tell them that a home stager is going to contact them. And after that's done, I follow up with them. And I ask them, so how was your experience with my photographer? Now, I already know that the photographer I've chosen is incredible, and they're going to deliver great service the way I deliver great service. Except I get to use the service they use as an extension for the energy I'm creating with them in that wow experience. Once their home's listed, how I continue on with that wow experience, I just communicate with them almost every other day. And that communication is either by phone, by text, or follow up on an email. The advice I would give you if you're looking for a place to begin, sit down with a notepad and paper in a quiet place and just start writing out naturally in your mind everything that you do from the moment you sat in their living room to the moment you've gone back to the office and handed the file to your assistant. How are you communicating with them? What are you doing? These are all incredible steps to communicate back to your seller, because normally they don't know what's going on. And if you're telling them what you're doing, you're helping them remove some of that fear and building confidence and trust in you, which is exactly what creates that wow experience. For people thinking that they need to do something big and as a result never doing anything at all, go back to small. It's not about being over the top and big. Sometimes wow is just following up with them when you said you were going to follow up with them. Or it could just be as simple as paying attention to some of their needs, like they don't have time to cut the grass. Maybe you might hire someone to cut the grass. That'll blow their mind. And for you, you can hire a local neighborhood kid. That doesn't cost very much. Little things like that, though, go a long way for referral business and creating a customer for life. That wow experience.
Yeah, so that's great. And it's kind of what we've been talking about, creating that wow experience. And there's some tips that we want to give you to allow you to communicate effectively with your sellers. And look, any client that you have, you need to have a good communication rapport with, right? But some of the things that are going to be always necessary when you're dealing with a seller is you always want to learn and ask about them, right? The most important person in the conversation is the seller. And you want to ask them questions about themselves and sit back and listen and pay attention, right? Don't forget that she told you she has soccer practice on Thursday when you said, oh, can we get together? I tried to call you, but you weren't around. Well, I told you I wasn't going to be home. So paying attention is paramount. You want to ask questions, learn about your seller, and you also want to do it in the preferred method that they are most comfortable with. I mentioned that I had an older woman who preferred texting, and then I've had other people who said, no, just call me, email me. Some people say I never listen to my emails. So find out their preference, their timing. When's the best time that I should follow up with you? Is it later in the afternoon? Is it first thing in the morning? Is it texting? Is it calling? Phone, email, text, minimum of twice a week, if not every other day. And in some cases, in the beginning of a listing, especially, there may be developments every day or every other day. So you're going to want to stay in contact with them on a regular basis so that they can expect to know what's going on and always be in the loop, right? You're also going to want to match the style of the type of person that you're dealing with, right? match and mirror is something that you're going to want to do when you talk to anyone about your real estate, or you want to talk to anyone about learning something about them. If they're the kind of people who get on the phone and say, "Ho," well, then you want to match it with a "Hey, ho." Okay. And it doesn't, and you want to mirror and match them so that they feel comfortable. Like, okay, he talks like I do. He speaks like I do. And she speaks like I do. So we have a good communication rapport. So match that style, get the preference, match the style, and always update. Updates should happen even when there's nothing new to update, right? Even if you don't have anything to share, there's no new news. You could say maybe there may be needs to change in the condition or the pricing because nothing's happening, right? So there's always something you can provide and stay in communication with them, so they always feel you're just a phone call away. In general, they can call you at any time because you're going to call them. You're going to talk to them on a regular basis, right? Be prompt. If you say you're calling at 10 o'clock, call at 10 o'clock. If you say you're going to be there at 5, be there before 5, right? Be there, be ready, be dressed, be on time, be present, right? And always, as Ada had mentioned, you want to look the part. You want to look the part of a professional, whether it's at a listing, at a showing, or at an open house. Be the professional in the room. So look that way. Being prompt is a part of being a professional, right? Being there on time. Always do your best never to criticize or talk down to a seller about their property. Eric did a great thing when he was doing his one of his sessions where he said, well, geez, I see that there. How did that happen? Or do a right? There's the old where you go, and the seller goes, yeah, well, we did have a little bit of a problem up there, and there's a leak there. You go, okay, and you come back to it. All right, recognize it, but you don't want to make it in a way that it's being critical, right? You always have to be careful to be on the right side, which is their side, right? They're the most important person. Definitely keep a log of all your notes. People are going to tell you things about their lives, about their children's, about their mother, their father, their cousin, their sister. Take notes. Be copious. Pay attention, right? It's important. Keep a log of the conversations you're having with these sellers so that you can reference, and they'll know you paid attention because you referenced the things they told you, right? If there's 2 people in the room, or there's 2 people that you need to communicate with, sometimes it's not just one person, it's 2 people. Make sure you always include that second person, even if one person has the lead, like in a divorce situation or something like that. Don't rely heavy on just one of the sellers. And if it's that situation where you have to be in communication with 2 people, do it. If you have to be in touch with 3 people and it's an estate sale and there's a daughter, a son, an uncle, and so keep in contact with all of them. You need to keep all those people who are making decisions on your side, right? And then it will always have a great attitude, which goes without saying because people, get a vibe off of you. So you want to make sure you have a great attitude, stay positive, right? That makes sense, but it's something that's really important. And for the customer experience to come out well, no matter what, there's going to need to be a level of honesty, right? You're going to tell the truth in every situation that you can, as tactfully as you can, right? An excellent customer service experience, is what's going to set you apart from the person who didn't get a good name as a realtor, right? Or the bad experience that somebody had, like an expired listing who says, oh, I hate all realtors. Well, you want to make sure that then when they're done with you, that's changed. You might hate all the other realtors, but you don't hate me because I'm going to do the right thing, right? I'm going to fiduciary do the right thing. I'm going to get you the most amount of money, right? The most amount of money with the least amount of time and the least amount of stress. That's what everybody wants, right? And it doesn't hurt to always under promise and over deliver, right? That's a tried and true staple of salesmanship. Is it's the hallmark of your business is you know, under promise, but over deliver. So that no matter what, when you do deliver, they're going to know that you tried your hardest, right? That you did your best. If you say you'll communicate once a week, communicate twice a week. If you say you're going to call them every other day, you can call them every day. Oh yeah, you know, I just had to update you. There's no reason why you can't over deliver, right? And the other thing you need to do in terms of when you're dealing with a customer and maybe you need to do some changes to the house or you need to do some work, you have to be tactful about that, right? So you might have someone else, you might say, oh, well, I'm going to have a staging consultant talk to you about how maybe we can move some things around or how maybe we could add or take away one or two pieces, right? So that's something that you're going to go over with them on a regular basis as you get closer to the time when you're getting the home sold, when you're going to get your pictures taken. That's all going to happen beforehand. One of the other great things that you need to do while communicating is to be solution orientated, right? Oh, well, you know, I don't know how we're going to have showings because, you know, our dog Lucky is always running around the house and we don't have. Okay, so maybe you need to create a solution or suggest a small solution about, well, maybe you could take Lucky for a walk during this and this time, or maybe we could set up a separate room for Lucky so that, you know, they don't have to be affected too much. Be solution orientated. There's going to be issues that come up. There's going to be some roadblocks. Your job is to get a solution that works, right? And hopefully it's something that they are, oh, okay, that'll work. And when you're talking to people about staging, obviously, when you're in the beginning of your career, you're not going to have, I mean, most people aren't going to have an extra couch, an extra rug, an extra table, and you know, all that stuff. So you're going to want to reach out to other resources like people in our market center, right? We have a Facebook page where you can communicate with all the members of our marketplace, right? You can reach out to them and say, hey, I have a room that needs to be staged. You know, can anyone recommend, or does anyone have you know, have furniture for rent? I know plenty of agents that will say, okay, sure, you know, for a very simple nominal fee, I can get you a couch, a table, and a chair. Okay. There are a lot of agents that are willing to work with you on that because they're not staging everything, especially right now. There's not a ton of inventory. So there may be opportunities there where maybe you can work a deal out. When you're in the beginning of your career, that makes a lot of sense that you might go that route. And in the process, you'll be developing your staging resources. You know, it's big. Staging is really important when it comes to putting that best foot forward. So you wanna reach out to people and get a network of people that maybe you can work with, and or there are companies that do it for a fee. So you know that the sellers can hire themselves. So it could be a resource that you provide, or it could be just like another vendor, like an attorney, like a mortgage, like a plumber, an electrician. It's just another vendor that you're going to have an allied resource with. And that's something you might want to do now. Reach out to different staging companies, ask them what they charge, ask them what their turnaround time is, get to know what some of the fees are for some of these companies until if you want to inventory some of that staging equipment yourself. Many agents do. I know many of the bigger teams have their own staging. This way they don't have to hire somebody. They just put it in storage. And when it's time, they roll it out. All right. So that's something you can develop, talking to companies, finding out what they charge, talking to other agents and find out how they do it. Right. So reach out to people in our market center. There's very few people that aren't going to be willing to talk to you about their vendors and their resource. I just recently had a call up. I got in touch with a bunch of agents. I couldn't find an oil tank guy who was free, and I needed an oil tank sweep done like yesterday. So I called up a bunch of top producing agents. I said, hey, who do you use for oil tanks? Got a name. Finally got somebody who was available. So don't be afraid to reach out either via Facebook or calling agents that you know may be able to help you with a particular challenge that you're coming against, because you want to be solution orientated. Any questions about that, about the importance of communicating with people and making sure that your seller knows that you guys are all on the same page? Any questions about any of that, or ways to do it, or ideas on other ways to do it?
Fiona had put a question in the chat box a while ago, and she was just wondering at what price point should you start staging? Is there a price point, I guess?
I don't think there is. I don't think there is. Look, if it's a really beat up house, to put it to you this way, no matter what the price point is, if it's so run down that they can't even fix it up, staging's out, right? If it's a really nice house and it just needs a little bit of a touch up, no matter what the price point is, if you do that little bit of work to give it a little bit of a rise in its appearance, staging will always benefit you. So it could be a $200,000 house in Sussex County, or it could be a $500,000 house in Wayne. It could also be a condo. So some of like condos and townhouses are going to be a little bit less money too. And the further west you go, the lower the number goes. So even if it is a $200,000 condo, it still may be viable and important enough to just add one or two pieces. So probably not a lot of staging going on underneath that 300,000, but it definitely does happen because some of those houses right now are the hottest. That price point, anything between 200,000 and 400,000 right now is competitive to say the least. So just getting an advantage on some of the competition through staging might make the difference in your house popping and showing a little bit better than someone else's. So I don't think there's necessarily a price point, but there might be a condition point. Does that make sense, Fiona?
Joe, I would like to
She left, but
answer
she had
that
asked
too.
that
Oh,
question.
that's okay. You know, and I'll follow up with her too. I think I was trying to answer that and that's when I got cut off. So I'll follow up with Fiona.
Mhm.
What was that, Aida?
I would like to add something to it. We talked about a lot about staging, and I just want to not to scare newer agents about staging because there's all different levels to it. There is level where you can just declutter, and that could be part of your staging. It depends. So, or maybe it's not so bad, and you can just buy a couple flowers from, you know, Home Goods, like colorful thing, and just put in a couple of places just to brighten things up. So there's all different kind of levels. Like, you know, it's not always where you bring the furniture, or it's not always where you hire somebody. So
Right.
you have to have that sense of you have to have a sense of judgment on that, in my opinion.
Yeah, great point. And also staging also means staging their furniture. I mentioned sometimes people have things in the way where you might need to just remove something, and that might be the extent of the staging, right? Great point, Aida. It's not necessarily about spending money and putting stuff in. It might just be removing a couple of things and adding a couple of flower pots. You know, that might be the extent of your landscaping, $100 in flowers. And that's it. That's all you need to do. That's staging, right? So great point, Aida. And also, you know, a lot of times you might just be moving their stuff around. You know, people can't always, it's not, the house isn't always vacant. They're living there. But what you can do is make it more accessible. And to Aida's point is just see what works for that situation. Great point. Great point. Definitely.
Yeah.
So, anybody else, any other comments or questions about staging, the different levels of that? Okay, so as we go into the last phase of creating a wow experience and having great customer service, earning clients for life, there's a great acronym that Keller Williams have, and it's called Super Service. And it's providing a terrific customer experience. And that's the way you're going to cement and hold a seller, and that you will do business together, right? You're going to be able to hold on to them and do business now and in the future because you're going to give them super service. And that acronym stands for S, sincerity, right? Be honest, be reliable, right? U is understanding, focusing on their needs, wants, and values. It's not about you getting the sign on the front lawn and doing the dance. It's about you taking care of them, focusing on their needs, their wants, and their values, right? Because they're the most important person in that conversation. P is predictability. Deliver what you promised and what they expect. That's super important, right? You want to deliver. E is for the exceptionality. Provide an extraordinary and uncommon experience. Make sure that you are not like the last agent who they don't like, or the agent that didn't get it done, or the agent who, when was in their home, did nothing but criticize the home and tell them how they would never get what they wanted, right? That's never going to help you, right? So provide an extraordinary and uncommon experience, and make sure you stay away from whatever problems they had or whatever issues they had with that agent or with dealing with these people in general. Make sure that you're aware of how they react, right? Match and mirror their personality with your own so that there's a common bond there. And then R is the responsiveness, which is about the follow-up that we talked about regularly following up, and do it quickly and be reliable, right? So if you have an open house, make sure you talk to them on Sunday night, or if you've already worked it out with them, hey, I'm going to call you Monday at 3 o'clock to talk about the open house. Be there on time, be ready for them, right? And have all their information and be ready to provide the feedback, right? Because that's what they want. So providing super services forges relationships with customers that are the foundation for growing, which include repeat business and referrals. The absolute gold, right? The repeat business and the referrals. And that's how you'll keep your relationship, and it'll last much longer than just one transaction, right? Because that's the whole point of retaining your clients that you're working with now, so that they want to use you again. They want to work with you again, right? Keeping in touch with your clients and your sellers with a simple touch campaign, like the ones we use through Command, is a simple, easy way for you to stay top of mind, tip of tongue, and you'll be their resource for real estate going forward. That's what you're striving for. That's what this great customer experience, this super service is for, is that they want to work with you again, and they want to tell the people they know about what a great experience they had, that you were the guy who got it done, and it was a great experience to work with you, right? Because it's really bigger than just, and that's also part of leverage, right? Because it's really bigger than just the listing or just one transaction. It's about gaining someone who's going to come back to you and refer you, right? Sorry. Let me just plug in here. I'm about to lose a little bit of power.
And when Joe is doing that, I want to bring to your attention, guys, that anytime with any of these questions, please feel free to reach out. We're always here to help. We're here to, it's not like, don't obviously listen to the session and get as much as you can, but we're always there to help you anyway. Okay. So when you get a listing, just go for it. We'll be there for you.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to put my information in. Thank you. Oh, I don't have a computer. Let's see, can I do that? Yeah, I'm just going to put my information in too, so that anybody who doesn't have it already has it. And yeah, of course, if anybody has any questions about any of this stuff, I know I talk a lot, and if I went over something too fast and you weren't able to get the the information, as Ada said, please reach out to us. We really want to help people. I know Ada and I, that's like our sole focus. We love it. Nothing better than when somebody does a deal and you help them do it. It's awesome. So that's my telephone, my cell phone number, and my email address. If anybody needs anything, thank you for, I was going to do that anyway, but thank you, Aida. I'm sure she'll put hers in there right away. So as we wrap up, the three most important things that we're focused on in this session were the importance of getting the home ready and being in the best possible light, whether that's cleanup, declutter, staging, adding, subtracting, right? That's the first most important thing, is making sure that the home is properly presented, right? And then professionally photographed and made to look ready to be shown, right? And then finally is the importance of communicating with every seller. And that's how, and then there's no doubt that if you communicate well, people will want to use you again. You know, the people that I've done my best work with, those people are friends of mine that weren't friends of mine before I helped them buy a home or helped them sell a home. They became my friends because I stayed in such close contact with them. And I know that all the successful teams that we have in our office, that is something they're all doing on a regular basis. They're reaching out to their clients all the time. That's the leverage. You have a reason to call them. You have a reason to talk to them, and they love you for it, right? So get the listings. You can do the marketing and the open house and the customer service, and it will perpetuate your business for years to come, right? I think on our next call, we're going to be with Frances Rosado on Monday, and she's going to be doing Win the Buyer. Okay, don't miss that. Don't miss any of these courses, but really don't miss that one, because for newer agents, you're going to deal with a lot of buyers first. I mean, you'll get the listings when you get them. A lot of times it might be somebody you know, or if you trip onto something, great. But a lot of times when you're a new agent, you tend to the buyers come across a little bit more often. And so don't miss that. That's going to be a really good one. She's an excellent high-end producing agent, knows exactly what she's talking about and knows how to handle people, which is a big thing when it comes to buyers, right? So don't miss that. That's going to be on Monday, the 8th, same time, same channel, 12:30 to 3. That's going to be a great place for you to start. You know, if you can work with a couple of buyers. I know Caitlin, who's on the call here, she's working with some people, but she actually got an opportunity to work with somebody she knows and was able to get a contract in and accepted. That's the best thing you can do, is to get started, get a contract accepted, you know. So working with buyers is an important part about being a new agent. Working with sellers is also obviously very important. That was the session that Ronnie did. I've gone back and watched that one again. And I like to go back and watch them. I find that I get more out of this sometimes when I go back and watch it, because if I have to, I hit a pause and I rewind. I go, what did he say? So you might not do that for mine, but the sessions that we have coming up are really awesome, right? You got Frances Rosado on Monday. Then we have Finding and Showing Homes with Donna Tiska on Wednesday. And then we have Making and Receiving Offers with Donna Nelson on Friday next week. As I mentioned before, Donna Nelson just has an awesome ability. She just knows how to deal with people. She's a phenomenal buyer's agent. She does listings too. She does everything. She's an awesome agent, always a capper. Don't miss any of those sessions. And then the last week we finish it up with negotiating the deal. Bill Boswell's doing a class on closing the deal, which you wouldn't realize it's as hard as it is, but it is. You get a deal accepted, and then the fun starts. Then there's like negotiating and all that stuff. So closing the deal is paramount. And then we do a blast off where we go over everything all together, and we go over it at the end of the month, and then we finish up the Ignite the following Friday. So that's what I have for the bullet points of what we were trying to do today. We're right about there. Please, but anybody, if you have any questions about communicating, staging, photography, talking to agents, share it now so we could all learn something, or don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Aida. Anybody, questions, comments?
Great session, Joe.
I love this stuff. This is the really good stuff, man. The leverage, like, you work so hard to get a listing. Don't be a fool to think, oh my God, I got this beautiful thing. I got this listing. It's like this beautiful thing. Don't be like, oh, okay, I got it. Okay. No, cherish it and let it grow and expand for you, because the leverage you get off of a listing is not like anything else. It just leads to business, to more business, to more business, right? So do it. That's why I'm passionate. I love it. You know, I want to chase listings. That's the world I want to live in, right?
Those beautiful
what world do you wanna live
babies.
in, Pedro?
Look at those beautiful babies. Oh my God. It's like unbelievable.
Sorry, the older one's like, hi. She like misses people.
She's
Right?
so juicy. Oh,
They you
man.
could hear. Say hi. Sit up.
That's oh, hi.
She's been on all the calls, so starting her early. Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. My youngest is 21. I'm lucky when he talks to me. I feel pretty good about it when he does talk to me. But he's 21, so that's my youngest. Look at that face. All right, guys, if you don't have any other comments, please reach out to me, anybody. I'm happy to talk to anybody. Ada's the same way. You need anything, please reach out to us. We want to help you get your first deal, your 10th deal, your 1000th deal, right? That's what we want. We want you to do deals. We want you to be successful and feel like you have a support system here at Keller Williams Prosperity, where if you have a question, you know somebody's going to answer it. And if I don't have the answer, I will do the best to point you in the right direction, right? All right. So don't miss any of the sessions we got coming up. I think we're right at 3 o'clock, so I'm just about done. And thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.